I feel in the face of all the problems in the world impotent, and why I somehow cannot manage to transform I. Now here we get to the real problem, because we're always telling each other that we should be different. Now I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't. Nor can I. That may sound depressing, but I'll tell you it isn't. It's very hard. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So when we are aware of the ego I, we are aware of this chronic tension inside ourselves. And that's not us. It's a futile tension. So when we get the illusion, the image of ourselves, married to a futile tension, you've got an illusion married to a futility. And then you wonder why I can't do anything.
Goodness gracious. Good morning, everybody. Let me get this mic a little closer. There we go. Hi. So, what are the important points I need to talk about today? Hold on. I'm probably not using the right microphone. I just realized that. I'm not going to record that. Okay, but I know I'm using the right microphone for the YouTube video, so we're just going to keep doing that. Okay? No trading view idea today. Sorry, folks. Bitcoin. Right, let's just identify mean inversion pivots and then rant about them, because that's kind of the train wreck I'm on right now. Bitcoin's train wreck, right? Because we're going to see consistent slowdown trend without actually hitting any oversold values, which is kind of fun about knowing how oscillators actually work. You know, because okay, we're gonna go to the daily chart here. I'm gonna go off on a tangent because I'm having fun. And we're just gonna switch this to regular values. Okay. So, oscillators provide relative values, even though to whatever previous periods you had set for them. So if you take a look at, say, the previous 100 candles, right? Okay, so that right there is the last 100 candles. Price moved 0.85% in those 100 candles. So, with that in mind, your relative range for defining that period is, trying to think of another word for compressed since I say it all the time. It's a very tight average. Your distribution, your standard deviations are close together, right? So pretty much on every oscillator. If you have the same relative values repeating themselves for 100 candles, and you look at the 100 period, which is the blue period, right? Dark blue, mind you. Okay? When you actually get a really tiny move, well, it wasn't that tiny, but when you get a relatively small move, it results in the most extreme rating possible. Right? It only moved 20%, and it was the most oversold value in the CCI's history. Right? We went to negative 570, for God's sake. So, what's cool about that? What's cool about that? You know, what is cool about that? What makes that so significant and gives us an edge? Okay. If you know that you define oscillators relatively to their periods, and you know how they're calculated, and you know that it's defined by either expanding or compressing distributions, if you were to say, look at those new overexpanded distributions over here, these huge bands that formed from this downward trend, what are we going to see? Not oversold values, not overbought values, right? Because compression is defined by that relative period. Like here's another great example. Do you think anybody was screaming overbought when we had this big old upward candle here? No? That's odd, because we had an oscillator rating and the very high extremes. Like, look how extreme that is. Why is this not overbought in the retail perspective, but why is this oversold in the retail perspective? First of all, it's bias. They want something to happen, a bull run, so they take the signals that they believe to best match their narrative as they scroll through the 5th page of TradingView ideas in an attempt to confirm their bias from somebody else who doesn't have any credentials to give their layman's perspective on the future. So, you know, it's kind of odd because, like, let's look at the last 100 candles here as well. Right? These 100 candles, they moved only like 2%. Price only moved 2% in these 100 candles. So, when you actually deviate in an extreme fashion from the average as defined by that data set, what's going to happen? You're going to get quote-unquote extreme values. Right? That counts as an extreme value, apparently. And then, does anybody ever take the time to stop and ask, do these extreme values represent overbought and oversold, or do they represent the beginning of trend? I mean, it's shocking how few people actually arrive at this conclusion. Like, how do you truly define overbought and oversold? Instead of just beginning of trend or not beginning of trend, which is really what the CCI indicator is supposed to be, a trend indicator, right? It's supposed to measure the expansion, the 1.25 standard deviation. Like, honest to God, if you just traded Bitcoin by selling when your 200 period CCI is below negative 100 and buying Bitcoin when it's above positive 200, you would do very well for yourself, like, without a doubt. And it's kind of interesting how we can easily define these trends through expansion, compression, expansion, compression, right? And just looking at the CCI readings in conjunction with mass readings is really helpful. Okay, just hear me out. If you see a huge plume of red like this, and your CCI is weighted positively, you verifiably have an uptrend. And this is not like the same as just using an EMA spread. You're using multiple metrics to define direction. It's going to be a lot more consistent than, say, just an EMA spread. right? Because you're accounting for required force. Here, very low required force, a lot of blue and green. So, when all your CCI periods weight the same way, and you are getting net expansion, which is clear and defined, it results in very significant trend. Or here, where we have relatively significant compression, and we're getting this new bout of expansion, and everything is weighted to the upside, well, that counts as trend. Now, that the tangent's over, guess what we're seeing? Compression. We're now in a period of compression. We are re-entering our longer overexpanded distributions and returning to a state of normalcy to shed the mass. So, if we're in a state of compression, okay, let's look at the last state of compression on the daily chart. And it's kind of fun because compressions are relative to the period. So our macro periods here were all in a state of compression. Price just went sideways. Like, it looks like a crash pattern, but it was just returning to a state of normalcy. And then actual downward trend didn't begin until here. That was the downward trend, where we had all the true net expansion in the same direction because there was high potential energy to allow for the downward trend. So, what happens when we start getting these nice deep blues radiating back to the upside, resulting in a period of compression as defined by our longest overexpanded periods, which is around 250, 200 will do for that reference. And now we are compressing as defined by those longest overexpanded periods. However, we are also getting expansion as defined by our shorter term periods. So, our longer term periods are compressing, and our shorter term periods have just returned to a state of compression. So, that makes for, well, a compressing market. Isn't that exciting? I think so. So we're going to return this back to custom values. Is that correct? Oh, I'm looking at the Bitfinex chart. Huh, funny. Yeah, don't use the Bitfinex chart right now, guys, please. It's not going to be all that useful. Because there's significant price divergence, and I don't want to deal with it. Which is in combination due to the withdrawal fees, 3% from Bitfinex, in addition to tether arbitrage, or rather tether devaluation, where every tether is worth 98 cents on the dollar right now. So if you have an exchange that primarily defines its value based on tether, and tether isn't worth $1, then there's going to be a price discrepancy, right? So yeah, I look on Twitter and I see people and like, hey, Bitfinex isn't worth the same as Coinbase. What's up with that? And that's where the train of thought ends. Hold on, I'm going to find that tweet. I'm just going to drop it in the Discord. Because I got pretty annoyed by that. I got to stay off social media. I'm getting too elitist. And I'm willing to admit that. Those who say all cultures are equal never explain why the results of those cultures are so grossly unequal. Boy, that applies to trading very heavily. That's a quote by Thomas Sowell. Honest to God, guys. Find a community that really does encourage you to question why. It's really common just to accept the status quo in trading. And the status quo is the masses failing. It really is the status quo. You're never going to find positive stats that show retail traders are cleaning the floor. Not sure what that analogy means, now that I think about it. Wiping the floor with them? Sure, we can do that. But it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, you know? Anyway, I need to get a glass of water. I'm not drinking anything right now. Hold on. Okay. Aqua de Vida. Whew. Okay. Anyway, actual Bitcoin prediction time. We have huge retracement values, and we're expecting to hit them because we're no longer in a state of upward trend, because we've entered mean reversion pivots, which will result in first mean reversion. And if we see partial retracement after retesting the 50 weekly moving average, well, then you would simply imply full retracement down to the weekly 200. Well, because that would be the beginning of a downward trend from an institutional benchmark, which typically results in testing the lower institutional benchmark, which just results in a huge compressing range. And we're just going to get squished between the weekly 50 and the weekly 200 until we break above the weekly 50 moving average, which will be the start of the next bull run. But I'm still expecting around 3 months of compression before we actually do break up above the weekly 50 moving average again, which will be the indicator that the bull run has begun. We will not have a bull run until we're above the weekly 50. And when that does happen, well, success, man. Success. Sakurai says, why do I always go? Why do some people say neat? Why do some people say You're rarely going to hear me say on here, but I'm going to make other onomatopoeias. You can start saying woof instead. Would that make you happy? Sean Trotter says, tangent away, your videos are too short. Okay. I'm probably going to introduce some kind of tipping system so you can tip me to continue streaming. Because let's be honest, if you buy my lunch, I'll probably stick around a lot longer. So many shorts, wouldn't be surprised to spike to 6.5k or something. Sure, can anyone tell me the short to long ratio? I guess I could figure it out myself, but I don't really look at that data ever. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we retested the weekly 50 again. It happened on the previous crash pattern, right? Just hold on. I'm just gonna refresh the page. I don't give a friend. Okay. And let me just save my chart template with the actual correct default values, please, because I've had it set to 240 for way too long. Pow. Neato. Okay, we are looking up, what am I looking? Somebody tell me the short to long ratio real quick as I look up BLX. Okay. Yeah, it's important to note. Yellow line's weekly 50, we tested it once, we tested it twice, and then we actually got the rejection. So, why not compare them, right? Right, there's no reason to assume it won't happen again as long as we stay inside our mean reversion pivots, right? Alright, so we entered our mean reversion pivot. We're trading laterally, and the mean reversion pivot's going to scoop around. And as the weekly 50 lowers, we're probably going to just go sideways, have a nice little pop to the upside, test the weekly 50 again for that confirmation, and then boop. Then we're actually going to get the long-term rejection. Like, just to point this out, guys, I'm really not going to call all that much this month, because there is no reason you should not be staying in this short until the weekly 200. Right. It's going to be a slow, quiet month, and you're going to make a lot of money. You're not going to overtrade this. Probably call like 1 or 2 altcoins just so you guys can diversify. Like, short them. I mean, you got to short the coins. And then, that's it. That's what you got to do. Okay, get your questions. I'm going to check some notifications on my phone while I wait for you to come up with something for me to look at. Okay? Figure it out, please. Drink some water. That's good. Good stuff. Nothing? Okay, back to playing on my phone. Show me what you got. It's only 40-60. Come on, guys. You can't be telling me that the short to long ratio is crazy if it's only 40-60. Ethic asks, what is the better short, ADA, BCH, EOS, F, Litecoin, TRX, or XRP? You know what? I'm going to look at all of them, and I'm going to look at nothing else. Okay? All your shit coins that you're asking me to look at right now that I haven't heard of, they're going to downtrend this month. And I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? I don't think there's going to be, like, more than 2 coins that have a positive month. Okay? Okay, let's go through the list, eh? Viewers, Jesus, I'm not that interesting. I mean, if you just find entry and a trend continuation, that will treat you pretty well here. You have downward expansion. You know, we tried to find support on that weekly 50. I need to have this open more often. It's just so useful. You know, we kind of find support on that weekly 50. Probably should have shorted it when I rejected from below. That was really nice. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get trend continuation. You're just going to try to find a swing high here. That's the way this shorting's going to happen. Better? Okay. BCH. Check it out. I know Kat wants to short this. Man, I have trouble shorting things if I don't have a swing high. Like, it's just how I play my game, because how are you going to stop out of that downtrend, really? Eventually, there's going to be a volatility pop to the upside where people take profits. I can't tell you where that is, though. Okay. You know, I don't know how to find entry for you folks. I just don't. I don't know what to do. Any ideas? Nope. Okay, we're gonna check Litecoin next, because I think that's the one I like the most right now. BTC. Yeah, I want to short this one the most because we actually had major mean reversion pivots get crossed. As soon as I get my swing high, I'm going to call it. Swear to God. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my CCI roll. I already have my alarm set. When it triggers, I am going to short it. Okay? Might find support on the weekly 50, but nothing truly confirmed yet. Like, let me just show you the mean reversion pivot on the daily real quick. Because that's pretty clean. To the 220 period, oh my god. Like, the amount of required retracement on this chart is just uncanny. It needs to retrace another 16% at minimum. But your stop loss needs to be 10% up to the upside, which is why I'm waiting for entry. Right? I can't do it right away. Is there any other way we could do it? Right, because these distribution periods typically have pretty aggressive swing highs. So even on the daily chart, we would want, say, like a 22 period CCI roll down, which we can plug in. It's a toughie, man. Don't have much of a good one in this way. Okay. Let's go back and check the comments again. I guess I'll check EOS. And one sec, I just have to do something on my phone. I'm gonna hide the screen for a second. Okay, thank you for your patience. I've returned. Okay, EOS, let's take a look. Oh my god, these notes! Well, it's trending. Don't buy so close to the 3.2 standard deviation. You want a retrace. Christ. I should have just called the short. That's funny. And then we actually got that CCI. Like, look at this. Look at where my CCI roll-up arrow is drawn. Right there. Do you see this? We were right there, and I drew it so that CCI would do that, and you would want a long there. But I didn't realize that the retracement value would be that deep. Jesus. So, that's uncanny. So that right there would have been the long signal in theory, but the retrace was too deep and trend broke. So now we have a downtrend instead. Okay, 4-hour chart. Let's take a look. All these charts look really similar. We're just kind of waiting for the swing high on all these charts. I'm keeping an eye on it. Probably try to call something in the next few days. Okay. Check the comments one more time. XRP weekly chart on Poloniex. Why do I need to look at the weekly chart when we have a downtrend right here? I don't know, man. What, you want me to draw a flag or something? Is that what you want? You want me to draw the trend line? Okay. I'll do it just for you. Where's that purple hairline? Does anyone see that? What is that? Oh. It's the weekly MA anyway. What am I doing? Funny. Okay, I'll draw the trend line for you. Oh, well, it looks like the trend line broke. That's a shame. Let me just go to the Heiken-Ashi candles here just to make a point. Okay. Okay, what you supposed to do here, huh? If you want to try to catch the bottom of this downtrend, you can try, but I'm just going to wait for my mean reversion pivot to cross, which at the moment is 140, and that's far away. Let's draw it out, okay? Okay, right. So do you see this wick that went up 20%? Just so that you have perspective. The pivot for required bullishness was not crossed when a 20% wick got close to it. It's that far away. That's how aggressive this downtrend is. Like, stay away. Bide your time, okay? And then I was in a TRX short since like 6:30. Not the time, that's the Satoshi value. We were shorting here. And our futures contract expired way too early. Oh, excuse me, here. Back in March, wasn't it? Yeah, so we shorted there. And my contract closed after 15%. And now we're down to 30%. Jesus. That's a bit of a nuisance. Yeah, I wish I was still in that. Yeah, because it was just such a long mean reversion. Okay, let's check the comments. I'll take a look at FUSD real quick. That's the last one, and then I'll be on my way. I'm going to do some spring cleaning today, since the weather's not good enough for me to go mountain biking. Okay, we'll be looking for IOTA. Can't tell anything. There we go. Okay. What do we want to look at? FUSD. I mean, if I have an actively bearish expectation on Bitcoin, then FUSD is just going to be my bearish expectation on leverage, right? So, set another CCI roll down, right? Cool. It's beautiful stuff, folks. It has been a pleasure. I'll see you all tomorrow at the same time. 1 p.m. You have a beautiful day.